Alrighty, I think that's good. I think this is it. I think we are recording. So, let me get all comfy here. I am in Barcelona right now. That's pretty big, pretty cool. It's my first full day here, and I know what you're thinking. I kind of hyped it up last podcast. Um, I'm in Barcelona, but I'm filming the podcast not at some crazy location, but rather in my Airbnb. But it is what it is. And hey, maybe that just means I gotta find some other time to go out and film another podcast because I actually kind of have a little bit of interest in that. And it's not against the rules. I can definitely do more than one a week if I really, really want to. So I'm here to talk about something that's been going through my mind in many different ways. And in a sense, I have already talked about this in a few of the other podcast episodes, where it is just this sense where I find there's a lot of people are chasing success, and when you chase something, it runs away. You can't chase down anything and actually receive it. Maybe you can catch up to it for a few seconds, that few 5 minutes of fame kind of concept, but at some point it will always slip from your grip and continue to run because once you chase something, it has kind of this way of never actually coming to you. You're not going to chase a wild animal down. It will just simply run away. But if you meet it in the middle, you do have a chance to actually have it and have it in a way, in a trustworthy way. And so I see a lot of people in this sense of just movement. I liked this comparison of movement versus improvement. You can just simply do stuff that is quote unquote beneficial and act like things are getting better. Or you can actually make things better. There is a difference. Improving does not just mean consistently doing things over and over and over again. It does not just mean filling your day with a bunch of productivity hacks and completing this task and that task. True improvement comes from realizing which tasks are actually necessary. What am I doing and why am I doing it? And that's what I wanted to talk about in this podcast episode specifically is the why. Because I find it's the most important thing. Of course it is. Why we're doing something in the first place really decides how we do it. And this is an important remark to have, to understand that fact, that how we do things is dependent on our understanding of why we do things. Another thing I would add to that is why we do things isn't as, it's not just there. It's not just the thing that we can reach out and grab. I always thought that it was intuitive. Why I'm doing something, oh, I should know that. And I do know that. But as I've come to find throughout my life, it's not as intuitive as I thought. It's not just there on the surface level. I found that as I started digging deeper and exploring reasonings of why I was doing certain things, I figured out I had a completely different perspective if I was just to take my intuition of why I believed I was doing something. It was completely different from the actual reasoning that I was able to find once I started putting an effort into thinking about it, taking some time to actually basically make a mind map of my reasonings, of my drive behind doing any certain action. That was what it was in its base. And I find a lot of people simply falling into this trap of just doing something. And maybe they had that why kind of intuitively, their why at the beginning was really what it was supposed to be. And then it kind of morphs because if you don't have a solid handling of why you're doing something, if you can't write it down, put it in words, well, then of course it's going to change. Then it becomes this fluid that can change from one thing to the next depending on what the situation holds. So I find a lot of people getting into sports. Let's say soccer, for example, good old football, the real football. Why do a lot of kids get into sports in the beginning? Well, it's a way to meet people. It's a way to go out there and play with other kids. It's fun. It's a great way to move. I would say those are kind of the three main things. It's fun, you get to meet people, you get to move, and it's healthy. Then, as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you move up to something as big as the World Cup, which is going on right now, then you have people who probably started out just to simply meet people, move, and have fun, who are now professional players who are only simply there to win a World Cup or to, continue playing or to make money. And their reasonings have completely changed. Now, do we want those reasonings to change? Because at a certain point with certain sports, let's look at American football, for example, which is known to be very dangerous for the body. If you're getting into sports in the first place to have a healthier moving body, meet people, and then you get to a professional level where you're constantly getting body slammed, and it's just not healthy anymore. You're receiving long-term brain damage from that. You're receiving body harm, you have injuries that are recurring, then it becomes the fact of staying in the game is exactly the opposite of what you started playing the game for in the first place, why you were there in the first place. I see this a lot with sports specifically of any kind. People getting into bodybuilding just because they want to feel better or maybe look a little better. And then they completely focus on just how they look. And then that becomes a thing that's an obsession. Why do people want to look good in the first place? Well, really, we want to look good because it shows that we're healthy, that we're healthy human beings, will live likely longer than people who aren't fit. We will be able to think stronger, move stronger, play around. That's the reason why people want to look a certain way over the other. And you see these people that are just maximizing the looks, just trying to, get a bigger bicep or defined abs, and they do all of these crazy things that just end up hurting their health in the end. They end up not eating, or they end up doing too much exercise, too intense, and it becomes unhealthy. They aren't reaching their goal. They might feel like they're achieving more and more because they look in the mirror and they see, oh, well, my my physique looks better than it does a year ago. But if they actually sat down and thought about it, well, sure, my physique looks better, but right now I feel like a little bit of caca. I can't do what I'm trying. I don't feel healthier than I did before. If you really sit down and think about it, did you reach your goal in that sense? Because why look good if it's at the cost of feeling healthy and happy? If it's really this stress. And I'm all for pushing your limits, trying new things. But within that, you have to realize, why are you pushing the limit in the first place? Why is it so important to you? For example, I personally do 4 sets of push-ups every single day. And a lot of people ask me, why do you do this? What's the optimal thing that you're getting out of this? What does this optimize for you? And I say it doesn't optimize anything. I don't do the push-ups to get a better physique or to grow my arms or to get stronger. It has nothing to do with the push-ups themselves. The actual movement is simply a vessel for a thing that stands in front of me for the day that I have to achieve, no matter what. No matter what, I have to do the push-ups. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. Yesterday, I did them in the airport while hundreds of people were looking at me, gave me funny looks, some gave me smiles, you know. It's a little bit of a mixed reaction, but it's not always comfortable. It's not always a thing that you're going to find that, oh, I have plenty of time to do that. Sometimes it's rushed. And that is within the thing. That's why I do it. It's because I have something, it's a test almost. Can I do something every single day? Just no matter how packed full my day is, I have to work this in. And then that helps me work other things in throughout life. It's a skill that I'm building here. So it doesn't really matter to me if I max out my push-ups, if I'm pushing myself the hardest. As long as I show up every single day, that's fine. Some days I do a lot more, some days I do a lot less. But in the end, I have shown up every single day for hundreds of days. I'm probably close to a year now when I think about it. No, I haven't really been keeping track, but it's a nice thing to have, and that I've always consistently done it. Another thing is this here. I understand why I do this. It isn't to, currently, it isn't to get followers on YouTube. It isn't that I'm trying to maximize the amount of views that these videos get. It's, again, kind of this responsibility to show up. I film this every single Wednesday, and currently I don't have access to my laptop. So I'm not going to be able to post this today on Wednesday. But I'm still filming it because it is that requirement that I show up for myself every single week and I talk about things that I find important every single day, or every single week at least. I show up and I do something that is hard. It's uncomfortable to sit here and speak about my feelings to a camera. I have to find alone time if I'm hanging with friends. I have to kind of get into the mindset. I have to think ahead of planning for a topic some of the times. And it is uncomfortable, but it's definitely worth it because that is my why. I know that it is important to me to show up for myself and get these thoughts out in a way. And so I do. Every single week I show up, no matter if I'm going to post it on YouTube or not. And it's been great. I do like it. In the end of the day, it's always worth it. It's always worth the uncomfortability of staring into the little lens here. So, yeah, I guess it's more so of a warning / a tip of just take some time to figure out why you're doing stuff. Big things. One thing that's been on my mind recently of why do I do it? I'm still trying to work out the answer here. Because again, I can't just take the surface level answer. The question is for me, why do I travel? Because I am currently on a big streak of traveling and I do have more plans of traveling ahead. But what is it for me? I could say that it's simply just to relax and have a good time and see the views. That is a very surface level answer. But once I've sat down and thought about it for a bit, I've realized that it's not those things at all. Traveling for me isn't necessarily always about simply relaxing or taking a break from things. It isn't about not working. It isn't necessarily a vacation in the very normal sense of the word of vacation. It's something much different to me. Traveling means something deep to me because it gives me the opportunity to be in an environment where I can meet with so many new perspectives. And this is the core root of what I'm building my understanding of why I travel. I'm building it off of this understanding that learning new perspectives from other people is helping me achieve my meaning in life, which is to help other people understand more about their lives, to do what I do not intuitively, but what I do quite frequently is sit down and think about my life and understand these reasonings. I want to help people do that in their own way. And I know I can't approach that for them in the same way that I've approached it for me, because every single person has their own lives that they lived. They take in information differently. They process things way, way differently than I would. And so every time I learn someone's perspective, learn someone's story, learn someone's place in life, that is another data point of, okay, this is what a human is as a whole. I can't ever pinpoint and say, okay, this person is like this, but I can create a bunch of these datas to understand where is the median of everything. Where do we lie on the mental scope of being a human? And that's what it is for me at the end of the day. I don't care about seeing the views, the Eiffel Tower, the whatever you want to call it. I don't care about going there. I can definitely do that, and it's definitely nice. I don't hate it, but it's all for nothing if I'm not meeting with people, if I am not talking to these people, getting a new perspective, and learning what it is like to live. Because in the end, my goal is to help people live more fulfilling lives, to understand why they are living. Unfortunately, I see a lot of people who have a lack of understanding, a lack of a knowledge that they could even understand that there is more to life than simply this societal idea of work and blah blah blah. Sure, you could live that life. You can absolutely live a very, I guess you could call it the typical societal life right now, almost a nuclear family lifestyle, and still be very, very fulfilled. Those aren't complete opposites of one another. But you have to first understand that. You have to first understand what fulfillment actually means for you. So, as I am traveling, I cannot forget about the fact that I am here for work in a way. This is long-term work. This is something that's way more important than clocking in for another 9 to 5. This is work that is reaching my soul, and I can't not do it. I can't not show up. And in that way, this isn't a vacation for me because I can't just simply release any obligation. This here is an obligation. Although I'd definitely love to do it, I'd love to show up. There are moments where I just don't want to, but I still have to. That is an obligation. It's an obligation I've created for myself, of course. And there's no one else telling me to do it, but I have an authority with myself. When I tell myself I'm going to do something, I likely do it. I'm not yet to the point where I 100% do it, and I'm still working on that, but I do show up most of the time, and I have the data to back that up. And so I show up for obligations. In that way, this isn't a vacation because I understand what this means to me is way more than just simply going out and trying new foods, seeing new places, blah, blah, blah. I'm still definitely doing that. But in the scope of, okay, this comes first, talking to people, learning perspectives, understanding myself and them and the connection that we have, that comes first. And if that's missing, I have to find that. I have to put in effort to do it. Because it is, it does take a little bit of effort finding new people, speaking to them, and kind of trying to process all the information that's coming in. But that's what I love to do. And I do it because I know that it will fulfill me. In the end of the day, I always feel fulfilled after a situation like that because I know it's helping me. I'm hoping it's helping them. And it just feels good to be really in life and not just in my own bubble, not just here as a tourist per se, but to kind of get the perspective of every corner of life. Wow. Today is definitely very rambly, and that's okay. I like just kind of hopping from one idea to the next, just as much as I like having a good structured podcast, but a little mix of both doesn't hurt anyone. I'll tell you, it's quite warm here. in the Barcelona. But I'm living through it. Yeah, I'm just kind of searching my mind to find if there's anything else that's really going to hit me. I can't necessarily say there is. So, with that, I'm going to wish you a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, evening, night, whatever it is for you. I'm going to say that if you like the video, you know what you can do. And if you dislike the video, you also know what you can do. I will be here next Wednesday, whenever you are seeing this. Whatever next Wednesday, I should probably be able to post it then. We'll see. No. Maybe we'll get like a whole bunch of videos. Does anyone even care? Doesn't matter in the end. So, yeah. If you have things to say, leave them down in the didgeridoo, the comedy section. And I will see you never. I don't know if I will see any single one of you ever, but I will definitely see some of you at some point. I can say that for certain. Yeah. Bye-bye.